Okay, let's kick off on this. Um, Second video on completing the square, and we're just messing around basically with some the more strange examples that you could get. They're not particularly strange. I don't know why I described them as that. It's just the ones that you start with very very easy examples. Then they say, okay, what happens if this, that, or the other thing happens? And the answer is not a lot actually. We just pretty much do the same thing that we always do. Um, let's have a look at this one now. We've got an odd number in front of x. What do we do? It's the same as before. It's the same. What we do is we take that number in front of x and we divide it just the same as we ever did. But this time, obviously, won't be a whole number. 7 divided by 2 isn't. It's 3.5. Now, a word on 3.5. We don't really run in decimals here, okay? It's not as precise as using fractions in some cases if you're doing rounding. And also, I just find mathematics with fractions easier than mathematics with decimals, and so should you, to be fair. As you'll see, we go through this. 7 over 2 in the bracket, minus 49 over 4 as a square. Yeah, so we remember you subtract the square. Look back at the original video if you've forgotten quite how this works. Later on, I actually go through one completely from scratch as well, so maybe you want to fast forward as well. That'd be another thing you could do. But I'm hoping you've seen the first video if you're interested in this video. Collect your fractions, put them on the other side. So you get 33 over 4. Where did 16 over 4 come from? Clearly want the fractions to have the same denominator, so 4 is 16 over 4. No big hoopla. Square root both sides, and you get the left-hand side just removes the square root. Sorry, the square root just removes the square. And then the square root of 33 over 4 is the square root of 33 over 2. What do I mean by that? If you square root the whole fraction of 33 over 4, the top is just going to be root 33, and the bottom is going to be square root of 4, which is 2. Then you just move your thing onto the other side. What was your thing I'm talking about? The 7 over 2. The 7 over 2 moves onto the other side. Obviously, if you're going to have 7 over 2 and root 33 over 2, they share a common denominator, so I can combine them. Minus 7 plus or minus root 33 over 2. I hope that isn't too bad. I appreciate that mathematics is a tiny bit harder, but you hopefully do appreciate you're doing exactly the same thing you were doing before, just with fractions rather than whole numbers. Hopefully that makes sense. And we've got a couple more examples to look at, so hang on in there. If you can believe it, the second one's even easier. So this time we've got a negative in front of the minus x squared. What we do, times everything by the minus 1. And then just carry on. Go about your business. Nothing special here at all. I don't feel any reason to kind of digress on this one at all. So that's what you do if you've got a minus x squared there. Simple as that. Okay, last one. And this is the one that most people that are watching this video are actually here for. What happens if you've got a number in front of x squared? So what does happen? What I did first of all was rearrange it so I've got the two algebraic terms, the x squared and the x on one side and the number on the right hand side. This isn't anything surprising to anyone who saw the first video. Now, what's happening after that? We're dividing through by 3. That does make the question a little bit harder in terms of like we're going to have to mess with fractions, but as I've said to you before, messing with fractions is a good skill to have. What did I do after that? So I'm now at the point x squared plus 10 over 3x equals minus 4/3. That's because I've just divided by 3. I half the fraction. Halving 10 over 3 is 5 over 3. Alright, common sense. Put it inside the bracket, and then subtract the square of that, which is 25 over 9. Rearrange that, put 25 over 9 on the other side, and you get yourself 13 over 9. Once you do that, you square root both sides. You get x plus 5 over 3 is plus or minus root 13 over 3. Remember, obviously, it is a square root, so plus or minus. That's why there's been a plus or minus the whole way through. Put the fraction on the other side. There is a small mistake, and I'm actually going to just about take a little second to correct it. I don't know if you spotted it, but obviously if you move the 5 over 3 on the other side, it should be a minus 5. So let me just pop that in for you. It's a bit embarrassing. See if I can get that right. It's really hard to do that for a screen. So yeah, that should be a minus 5, obviously. Okay, so I hope that made sense. Thanks.